Have you ever felt like you weren't being heard? Like no matter how clearly you speak, how much you explain, how much effort you make, people still talk over you, dismiss you, or simply don't listen or understand? It's frustrating. It's exhausting. And sometimes it makes you want to shout just to be seen. But what if I told you that shouting louder isn't the solution? What if the real power, the kind that makes people stop and pay attention, doesn't come from saying more, but from knowing when to say less, from not raising your volume, but deepening your presence, from showing up not louder, but clearer? That's the difference between being loud and being heard. And that's where the idea of silent authority begins. Not with silence for silence's sake, but with silence used on purpose, to hold space, to lead with vision, to inspire without needing attention, to say just enough and let others rise into the silence you leave behind. Let me tell you something strange about silence. We all say we want more of it. Less noise, less chaos, more peace. But when silence actually shows up, most people get uncomfortable. They fill it with words, with noise, with over-explaining, with over-performing. Because somewhere deep inside, we've learned that silence means we're doing nothing. And doing nothing? That's weakness. That's failure. That's losing control. But what if that's the lie? What if silence isn't weakness at all, but power? Think about the people you respect most, the ones who walk into a room and don't need to say a thing for everyone to feel it. That's not loud power. That's silent authority. It's not about being the first to speak. It's about knowing when to speak and when not to. Because when you talk less, people start to lean in. They feel the weight behind your words because you don't throw them away. You pause, you breathe, you look, you listen. And when you finally speak, people listen back. This doesn't just work in leadership, it works in life. Want to make someone feel heard? Don't rush to solve. Be still. Let their words land. Hold space. They'll feel it. Not because you had the perfect response, but because you didn't jump in to prove something. Authority isn't about dominating. It's about owning your energy. It's knowing you don't have to fill every silence to matter. In relationships, romantic or professional, people who are comfortable with silence project confidence, not arrogance, not distance, but clarity. They've done their inner work. They're not trying to convince. They're choosing to connect when it counts. Even in negotiation, silence is a weapon. Ask your question, then shut up. Let the discomfort do the work. The one who fills the silence often gives away more than they plan to, and the one who holds it keeps their power. Silence also helps you see. In the noise of life, you miss things. The small cues, the tension in someone's voice, the truth behind their words. But in silence, you start to pick it all up again. You get more creative, more focused, more aware of what really matters and what doesn't. And maybe the most important silence, the one between your thought and your reaction. That tiny pause where you decide, do I lash out? Or do I hold steady? Do I speak from fear or from clarity? That space, that's where leadership lives. That's where relationships heal. That's where self-respect starts. So if you want to be heard more, start by saying less. If you want more authority, start by creating space. If you want more peace, stop overperforming. Because the loudest voice in the room isn't the one that shouts. It's the one that waits. That watches. That only speaks when it's time. That's silent authority, and it works. At home, at work, with your team, with your partner, with yourself. And here's the part most people miss about silent authority. It's not just that you speak less, it's what you choose to speak about when you do. Because true authority isn't found in instructions, commands, or long explanations. It's found in vision, not volume, not charisma, not hype, but vision. Silent authority doesn't demand attention. It creates alignment. It doesn't lead with ego. It leads with direction. When a silent authority speaks, they don't talk about themselves. They talk about the future. Not what they want, but what could be possible. They talk about purpose, about meaning, about what matters beyond the moment. And then they get quiet again. Not because they have nothing more to say, but because they're leaving space for others to step in, to see what they see, to bring their own piece to the vision, to co-create the path forward. That's the power of not filling every silence. It becomes an invitation instead of a monologue. And yes, they're visible, but they don't need applause. They don't need to prove their value or list their achievements. They don't walk into a room and dominate it. They walk in, and the energy shifts. Not because they demand respect, but because they embody it, and they leave something behind long after they're gone. Clarity, direction, momentum. This kind of leadership doesn't scream. It whispers. But the echo of it, it moves people. Because we don't follow noise, we follow meaning. And the ones we follow are the ones who don't try to lead us, but invite us into something greater than themselves. That's what a silent authority does. Not with pressure, but with presence. Not with control, but with vision. Not with speeches, but with space. So if you want to lead in your work, in your relationship, in your own life, don't just speak more clearly. Live more clearly. Let your life say what your mouth doesn't need to. Be someone whose silence feels like an open door.